One of the easiest ways to get into the meditative state is to begin by listening. If you simply close your eyes and allow yourself to hear all the sounds that are going on around you, just listen to the general hum and buzz of the world, as if you were listening to music. Don't try to identify the sounds you're hearing. Don't put names on them. Simply allow them to play with your eardrum. Let them go. Don't judge the sounds. There are no proper sounds or improper sounds. And it doesn't matter if somebody coughs or sneezes or drops something. It's all just sound. I would like you to listen to the sound of my voice just as if it were a noise. Don't try to make sense out of anything I'm saying, because your brain will take care of that automatically. We don't have to try to understand anything. Just listen. As you attempt this experiment, you will very naturally find that you can't help naming sounds, identifying them, and that you will go on thinking. That is to say, talking to yourself inside your head. But it's important that you don't try to repress those thoughts by forcing them out of your mind, because that will cause thoughts to scatter, possibly multiply. So what you do is this. As you hear sounds coming up in your head, thoughts, you simply listen to them as part of the general noise going on, just as you would be listening to the sound of my voice, or just as you would be listening to cars going by or birds chattering outside the window. So look at your own thoughts as just noises, and soon you will find the so-called outside world and the so-called inside world come together. All the thoughts are happening, just like the sounds going on outside, and everything is simply happening, and all you're doing is listening. Can you hear the past? Can you hear the future? Can you hear the listener? Where do the sounds come from? Let them tell you the truth. Now, in this process, another thing that is happening that is very important is that you're breathing. And as you start your meditation, allow your breath to have a natural pace. Breathing in and breathing out. The curious thing about this, you say in the ordinary way, I breathe, because you feel that breathing is something that you're doing voluntarily, just the same way as you might be walking or talking. But you will notice that when you're not thinking about breathing, your breathing goes on just the same. So the interesting thing about breath is that it can be looked at both as voluntary and involuntary action. You can feel, on the one hand, I am doing it, and on the other hand, it's happening to me. That is why breathing is a very important part of your meditation, because it's going to show you, as you become aware of your breath, that the hard and fast division that we make between what we do on the one hand and what happens on the other is arbitrary. So that as you watch your breathing, you will become aware that both the voluntary and the involuntary aspects of your experience are all one. Now that might at first seem a little scary, because you may think, well, am I just a puppet? The mere passive witness of something that's going on completely beyond my control? Or on the other hand, am I really doing everything? The truth of the matter, as you will see, is that both things are true. You can see it, that everything is happening to you, and on the other hand, you are doing everything. For example, it's your eyes that are turning the sun into light. It's the nerve endings in your skin that are turning electric vibrations in the air into heat and temperature. It's your eardrums that are turning vibrations in the air into sound. And in that way, you are creating the world. When we're not talking about it or going into the philosophy about it, then there is just being. This, and it doesn't need a name. Just being. When you breathe for a while, just let it happen. Not forcing in any way, you will discover a curious thing, that without making any effort, you can breathe more and more deeply. Breathing out is important because it's the breath of relaxation. That's like when we say, have a sigh of relief. So when you're breathing out, you may get the sensation that your breath is falling out, dropping out of you. The same sort of feeling you have as if you were settling down into an extremely comfortable bed and you just get as heavy as possible and let yourself go. Let your breath go out. And when it's thoroughly comfortably out, and it feels like coming back in, you don't pull it back in. You let it fall back in. Letting your lungs expand, expand, expand until they feel very comfortable to you. Wait a moment and let it stay there. Then once again. So in this way, you will discover that your breath naturally easier and easier and slower and slower and more powerful. So that with these various guides, listening to sound, listening to your own interior feelings and thoughts, just as if they were something going on, not something you're doing, but just happening and watching your breath. That is neither voluntary nor involuntary. You are simply aware of these basic sensations. Then you begin to be in the state of meditation. But don't hurry anything. Don't worry about the future. Don't worry about the progress you're making. Just be entirely content to be aware of what is and listen. Breathing in, breathing out. And just be. Thank you for listening. HigherMindYoga.com